Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment, where just yesterday we discussed a floating rumor during the NFL scouting combine about the Tennessee Titans being interested, or at least potentially interested, in quarterback CJ Stroud. If you haven't watched that video, go ahead and watch that. And then today, Monday, we had a pretty healthy day when it came to Tennessee Titans news, and yet another huge rumor. Apparently, this comes from Mike Silver of, I think now he works for, I think it's called Bally Sports or something, I don't know, but Mike Silver he used to be for Fox and is a very reputable NFL reporter, that the Tennessee Titans were shopping Derrick Henry pretty heavily throughout the scouting combine. He also mentioned DeAndre Hopkins, and I want to say someone else that was also being float around there for other teams, but that Derrick Henry is indeed being shopped. What are my thoughts on this? So naturally, everyone on Titans Twitter today started freaking out. Oh my God, things are going crazy. Derrick Henry's getting traded. Oh my God, he's gonna get traded. Oh my God, he's traded. I'm gonna say relax. First of all, we've been having this conversation. I don't know where people have been, but we have been having this conversation. Anyone with any sort of common sense could have assumed that it would be on the table for Derrick Henry to potentially be traded this offseason. He's entering the last year of his contract. He's 29, going on 30. And it's only natural for a team that is low on draft picks to shop some of their assets around to get a feel for what their value could be and at least do their due diligence. But I'm not convinced that Derrick Henry is going anywhere. I'm just not convinced. And ultimately, and while it is very important that this team gets as much draft capital as it can for a potential trade up, or even just, to have more draft picks in general, I just cannot see. From this base point, I just can't see this team trading Derrick Henry 1 year after trading A.J. Brown. And yes, these are two different scenarios. A.J. Brown was still on the incline. Derrick Henry, I'm arguing, is not on the decline yet, but you're anticipating the decline is coming somewhat soon. He still ran for over 1,500 yards this year. So if that's declined, then that's not bad to me. So I'm not saying that Derrick Henry, is he going to rush for 2,000 yards again? Yeah, probably not. But he's still a 1,500-yard rusher. That's still a top rusher in the NFL. So I'm not saying that he's on the decline. Yeah, you're anticipating it because he's going to turn 30. By the way, next January, he just turned 29. So you're anticipating the descent and the decline of Derrick Henry, but you haven't seen it yet. I just can't see, after this fan base rioted, and rightfully so, after trading A.J. Brown, this team, at the time, I would argue this team's second superstar, and now you're going to trade its first superstar. I mean, you're talking who is going to be supported on this team next year from the general fan base. They still have to sell tickets. If you trade Henry, and by the way, if you trade Henry, you have to trade Tannehill. I am not interested in seeing Ryan Tannehill without Derrick Henry. Miss me with that. Leave me alone with that. If you're trading Henry, you're trading Tannehill. You're trading everyone. You're saying the cupboard's bare. We're going Houston Texans. We're going to stink, and that's what we're going to do. Who the hell is going to go to Tennessee Titans games next year if that's the case? Now, if they traded up for Stroud, if this is all, to potentially trade up for Stroud or Young, it would make sense. You'd be getting your franchise quarterback, and while it would hurt initially, assuming that franchise quarterback actually ends up being a franchise quarterback, I think we'd all get over it. But it just sucks because I really believe this. This is not even fandom. Hell, some of you people think I'm a fake fan half the time. I really believe that Derrick Henry has at least 2 more good years in him. And by good, I'm talking over 1,300 rushing yards. I think he has over 2 seasons for over 1,300 rushing yards. I really believe this. I think he's going to follow similarly to like Adrian Peterson, who still had strong seasons at 29, 30, 31. I think one of those seasons he tore his ACL, but still had very strong seasons later into his career. Marshawn Lynch, same thing. I just see him as one of those, because he is one of those Hall of Fame echelon running backs that is not going to just fall off of a cliff at 29. I still think he has years left. I think he'll be good at 29, 30, 31, maybe 32. That's when he's going to start to fall. I think 32, 33, maybe he falls off then. But 29, nah, son, this guy's still in the gym. This guy's still working out. This guy's still in incredible shape. He only has one major injury, and that is his, it was a foot. Okay, just a broken foot metatarsal. It's not like he's torn his ACL. It's not like he has an Achilles. He's been pretty damn healthy. So why are we now assuming that, okay, now he's going to start breaking down? Look, that might be the case for Jamal Charles. That might be the case for Chris Johnson. That might be the case for a lot of running backs historically. I think that Derrick Henry is built different, and we know that he is. I mean, this is the only reason. He's the only reason that this franchise has won a playoff game in the last decade. He's the only reason. Wasn't Tannehill and the defense to a certain extent, and Mariota. And a little bit Mariota throwing the pass to himself. But he's the only reason. He's been the driving force. Although I guess you could argue for that Chiefs victory. Ooh, it was the defense and Mariota. Henry contributed. I think he had a touchdown that day. And he had a decent game. I think he had like maybe 70, 80 yards. I can't remember his exact stat line, but he played well that day. So look, people, and I know we're in a weird position where, again, we're discussing potentially getting Stroud. We're discussing potentially getting Young. Some people are discussing Levis and Richardson for God knows whatever reason outside of desperation. I believe, and who knows when we're going to be a true Super Bowl contender again. It's not going to be next season unless we have a Seattle Seahawks 22 type draft class that we just draft all these Pro Bowlers that come in here and just raise hell. Then maybe, but I just don't see that being the case. Let's say that we're a Super Bowl contender in 2 seasons. Okay, so not this season, but next season. I'm telling you. Well, at that age, I don't think, and by the way, Terrell Davis was able to, lead his team to Super Bowls, late in his career. I don't think that he can necessarily be the driving force for us to go all the way and win a Super Bowl by himself. I don't think so. However, I do think he can give you a Marshawn Lynch Super Bowl performance like he had against the Patriots. I 100% believe it, and it should have been a Super Bowl winning performance by Marshawn Lynch, and probably even a Super Bowl MVP if they run the ball at the 1-yard line. I think he would give you that sort of performance. I think he still has more strong playoff performances in him. I'm not ready yet to move off Derrick Henry. And more important than that, what is the compensation going to be? What is the compensation going to be? Now, Christian McCaffrey, who's 26, was traded for a second, a third, a fourth, and a 2024 fifth. So 4 draft picks, second, third, fourth, and next year's fifth. 26-year-old Christian McCaffrey, who, let's just face it, is much more valuable in the receiving game than Derrick Henry is. Now, does that mean he's a better running back? No, and not in my opinion, although he's great. He is great. And probably moving forward, okay. Assuming he's healthy, McCaffrey's probably going to be better than Henry moving forward. But Henry's the one that I've seen win playoff games by himself. McCaffrey played very well in the playoffs, actually. But Henry's still the one running back that we can reference that has actually been leading his team to damn playoff wins. So he's going to get less than McCaffrey. And also McCaffrey, I think, let me see what Christian McCaffrey's contract was, how many years he had left. I want to say he had like 2 or 3 years left on his deal by the time he was traded, whereas Derrick Henry only has this season left on his deal. So whatever team is trading for him, and yeah, McCaffrey, yeah, did he sign an extension when he was? No. So, yeah, he signed his 4-year extension in April 2020. And then Yeah, he's not supposed to be a free agent until 2026? Wait, when did he resign? That doesn't even make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, that's strange. So he's not going to be free agent until 2026, regardless. So he still has 3 more seasons left on his deal. 2020. Okay, never mind. That actually makes sense now, because he signed his extension in April 2020. It was a 4-year extension. There was 2 years left on the deal by the time he signed the extension. Okay, never mind. That makes sense. So McCaffrey's not going to be a free agent until 2026. So the 49ers traded a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth for a guy that they knew was going to be under contract for the rest of that season and 3 more seasons. Whereas anyone that trades for Derrick Henry is only going to have him confirmed for this season. That's it. Only 1 year. And then you're going to have to re-sign him to whatever deal that looks like. And again, I am of the belief, and maybe I'm being ignorant here, I really believe, first of all, he took a decent hometown discount for this contract. Remember, we were thinking that Derrick Henry was going to sign for $15+ million, getting more than Ezekiel Elliott, because Elliott was getting $15 million at the time. He only signed for 12.5 in his prime. He only signed for 12.5 in his prime. So I think when you're looking at this Derrick Henry potential extension next season, I think you can get him for less money. I think you can get him for $10 million a year. Maybe 11 or 12. Maybe he wants 12 again, but I don't think he's gonna, demand 15 million plus. I just don't think so. I think he's gonna be, and also I think, he knows he's a running back. I don't think anyone's gonna pay him a 4-year deal. I think you get him on a 3-year deal, and I think you can make that 3-year deal to where, you can have a potential out after 2 seasons and not really have to incur much. I mean, for me, and look, there is a fan aspect to this as well, because I want him. And look, again, people think he's already a Hall of Famer. I don't believe that's to be the case. I think if he retired today, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. With that said, I think when he passes 10,000 yards and 100 rushing touchdowns, I think that'll do it. I think that'll be enough for him to make the Hall of Fame. As of right now, I think he's like at 7,800. Let's check the official number where Derrick Henry's at in terms of his rushing yards on his career. So Derrick Henry currently in his career has over 8,000 now, 8,300 rushing yards and 78 rushing touchdowns. 2 more seasons, he'll pass, maybe even 1. Wow, that'd be great if he did it in 1, but at least a season and a quarter. You're talking about him passing in a quarter of a season. You're talking about him passing 10,000 yards. To get 22 more touchdowns, that's going to take at least 2 seasons, though. So 2 full seasons before he passes 10,000 yards on 100 touchdowns. When he does that, I think he's a Hall of Famer. And I want him to do that in a Tennessee Titans uniform. So look, there is some fandom there. I would like to see that in a Tennessee Titans uniform, but I still think he has value. I don't think that he's on the decline. Wow, 1,500 yards behind a bad offensive line. If you get some decent offensive linemen in here, he could pop off again. Now, are you going to rely upon him to be a 2,000-yard rusher, to be the complete, to be your offense and to lead you, time and time again? No, that ship is starting to sail. And for God's sake, find a receiving running back. I mean, my God. We keep having this conversation. Find a nice compliment for him. I'd like him back on a cheap deal. And look, we're just, already discussing the 2024 cap space a little bit. We have $130 million of cap space next season. Finally, Ryan Tannehill will be off the books. You can re-sign Derrick Henry. You have plenty of cap space on a 3-year deal. Make it to where, hey, after 2 years, you can cut him if he really starts to decline. It's $10 million a season, people. If you were willing to pay A.J. Brown $25 million, then why can't you pay Derrick Henry 10? Because last I checked, and A.J. Brown's great, Derrick Henry's more impactful for winning for this team than, hell, a lot of players for a lot of teams throughout the league. But even then, more than A.J. Brown for us. Derrick Henry's $12 million is more valuable than A.J. Brown's $25 million for us. For us. And look, I'm looking forward to the day where we transition to be more of a passing team. and we actually have a strong passing game, and God forbid we actually throw for over 4,000 passing yards. I'm looking forward to that. But as of right now, that is not the case. We are far from that. We're building that. We still need a wide receiver. We might need a wide receiver one. We don't even know what Treylon Burks is. He is wide receiver one. That's where he's penciled in. We don't know if he deserves to be that. So we don't even have a true wide receiver one. We don't have a true wide receiver three. We might have a tight end one, but Chig is going to have to put together a full season. We don't have a left tackle. We don't have a left guard. We might not have a center. As of right now, we don't have a right guard. But no, let's trade Henry and let's just figure it out. It just doesn't. He can be the building block for this next regime, for this next offensive team, this next offensive unit. He can still be that transitionary phase for you. You don't have to start over and get rid of him, because I think you're getting a second. And I think for sure you'd get a second. You might even get a second and a fifth. I don't think you're getting a second, third, and a fourth. I don't think you're getting that. Maybe you get a second and a fourth. At best, a second and a third. That's it. You're not getting a first. If you are getting a first, then okay, do it. if you're getting a first round pick, then do it, and then take Bijan Robinson, and then there you go. You just switched it out. But that's not going to happen, because any team that's going to trade a first, you might as well take Bijan Robinson. Unless if you're trading a late first and Bijan may not be there. But yeah, that would make much sense. So look, I'm still in on Henry. I want him to get over 10,000 yards, 100 touchdowns with this franchise. I think he has at least 2 more good years left. I think next year you can re-sign him to a decent deal. He knows he's 30. He's not going to demand $15 million a year. He's not going to demand that. I just doubt it. I don't see it. I'm still in on Derrick Henry being a Tennessee Titan. We'll see what happens here. I'm fine with us shopping him. You might as well see what the value is. Maybe someone would give you something crazy for him. That doesn't offend me. And look, some people are offended by that. That doesn't offend me. I think you're allowed to shop people and just see what's going on. But for right now, I'm still in on Henry. I think it's fine. I think, again, he's not going to be the 2,000-yard rusher, the complete train of this offense, but I still think he has a year left in him, and he's a valuable running back, and I like having a valuable running back. Even in this day and age, I know people want to move off running backs. I still like having a valuable running back. With that said, we had 2 more headlines today. One is that the Tennessee Titans are planning to release outside linebacker Bud Dupree. We've been on this. I discussed this a couple weeks ago that I wanted him to be the next one cut, and it sounds like he now will be. Now, he hasn't been released yet. I see some people already saying he's been released. He hasn't been released yet. It's not been official yet. They plan on releasing him. They actually can't release him until the beginning of the league year for like some contract reasons. And it'll be interesting to see if they designate it as a post-June 1 cut. If they designate him as a post-June 1 cut, they can't designate Tannehill as a post-June 1 cut, which means Tannehill might be on the roster this year. So keep that in mind if they designate Bud Dupree as a post-June 1 cut. Will he be missed? Not particularly. Look, I was fine cutting him because I'm fine with Rashad Weaver and Harry Landry start next year. Now, you're going to have to get some depth. And people are already saying you have to draft. I don't necessarily believe that. I think you can find a decent rotational pass rusher in free agency. We found Danico Autry in free agency. You can find another Danico Autry in free agency and we'll be fine. I don't think we now have to draft an edge. I saw some people saying, well, now we have to draft an edge. No, you can pick up a nice outside linebacker in free agency and keep it pushing, depending who it is. And maybe we'll go down that list and find some potential options in the future. But Bud Dupree, he will be missed. That is Bud Dupree. Look out for your Walgreens everywhere if you sign Bud Dupree. So we also did that, and then also news, Jeffrey Simmons. Okay, so Jeffrey Simmons deleted his Instagram and his Twitter after initially unfollowing the Tennessee Titans on Instagram and removing some of his pictures in a Tennessee Titans uniform. This is something that players are doing lately. We saw A.J. Brown do this last offseason when he was negotiating his contract with the Tennessee Titans. So, is this cause for concern? Look, I just can't believe, and I know he's going to be very expensive. I just can't believe that we're going to be so stupid than to not re-sign our best defensive player by far. Well, maybe not by far. Byard's close, I guess. But significantly. And leave us in a position next year where we don't have nothing offensively or defensively outside of Kevin Byard. That's the entire team if you let go of Jeffrey Simmons. Right now, it's just Simmons and Byard. I'm presuming that we're going to keep Simmons. But for 2024, when Tannehill comes off the books, Henry's coming off the books, we have a whole bunch of free agents. Fulton's coming off the books. There's a whole bunch of free agents next year. $134 million in cap space. You give $25 million of that to Big Jeff Simmons. He needs to be the franchise cornerstone defensively, period, moving forward. Because we don't have, and Byard, he's still young enough, and he's still going to be around. But I think you have to have someone else. I mean, my God, I don't even know. I hope that Harold Landry, when he comes back from his ACL, is still going to be very productive. I don't know that for a fact. So right now, we don't even know Harold Landry is going to be what he was. Nico Autry is great right now. He's getting up there in age. So who do you have definitively on this roster moving forward for your franchise? You have to re-sign him, and I think they are. I think they're going to get it done. They're negotiating it. I think they're not going to lowball him like they did A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown, part of that was just, not wanting to pay a skill position player, but Jeffrey Simmons, a meat and potatoes type player, you got to pay this guy. And you won't regret it. The Rams did not regret paying Aaron Donald. The Chiefs did not regret paying Chris Jones. The Eagles did not regret paying Javon Hargrave or Fletcher Cox. If you get an offensive tackle that can continuously make plays, that can get after the quarterback, that can be strong in the run game, it's such a valuable piece, man. I'm telling you. There's no coincidence that those teams with those great defensive tackles have been doing very well in the postseason. I think it's going to get done. I don't think anyone should freak out. I know people are going to freak out regardless, but I think it's fine. I think this will be wrapped up. What are we now? We're in March. I think it'll be wrapped up it might take a while. I mean, it might take till June or July because that's kind of our move. But I wouldn't anticipate anything. And look, some people are already questioning, well, would he be involved in a trade up to number 1 or number 3? Or Henry also being involved in that? I think Henry would be more likely to be involved in something like that. I don't think they're trading Jeffrey Simmons. I just think it's so crazy. I think it's just really so insane. I think it's just so stupid. I just can't see that being the case. They bet on this guy as a first round pick in 2019. He's paid off even more than what they hoped he would. And you got to keep him. I mean, my God, you got to keep him. So with that said, I noticed there was a super chat. So let me get to that. And then I might answer a couple more comments, and then we'll get out of here. All right. So, did I update this? There we go. All right. We have Kick It to the King Productions, who says, hey, man, I said Henry and Simmons are unsafe. I'm ready for this Titanic fire sale. We sign an O-lineman and get C.J. Stroud. Blessings, my friend. I mean, we'll see. Look, I still think Simmons is safe. I think he's safe. I don't think he's going anywhere. It's just so crazy to trade. I mean, who on this franchise are you even investing in long term? Just buy it? That's it? That's the only one that you're investing in long term. That's so crazy to me. You got to have a couple more pieces that you're investing in long term. I think Simmons is safe. And then Henry, we'll see. Again, they were shopping him. I don't know if they liked what they heard. I think you get at least a second, maybe only a third, maybe, I don't know. But because there's only that 1 year left on the deal, but I think you could trade him for a second. I really do believe so. But we will see. But thank you for the super chat. Kick It to the King Productions. Let's see a couple more comments. We have Printer Dub who says, Sports for Entertainment, what if the Bears wanted Henry and Simmons as part of the number 1 pick? Truth is, you can't win a Super Bowl playing 90s football. And look again, I don't think, by the way, why is everyone talking about 90s football? Like, we didn't just see Marshawn Lynch win a Super Bowl, and it wasn't all on him. It was on the defense, too. But almost win another one, okay? And now, granted, yes, that was like now 9 years ago. But the year right after that, the Broncos won with, their offense stunk. They didn't even have a strong run game at all there. I mean, and the 49ers almost made it to the Super Bowl this year off of the run game. So I'm not saying that I want to be a running team. I'm just saying, look, even as our passing game improves, as we now move to being much more of a passing team, you can still have Henry and have him be productive. Look, the Packers, when they're actually doing well offensively, they have Rodgers, who's doing well in the passing game, but they also have a strong run game with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. That was working for them when they run 13 games 2 years in a row. So there's a difference between saying, okay, we shouldn't play 90s football and just only be a running team, sure, but it's still nice to have a good run game. The Eagles almost won the Super Bowl off of their run game. Now, when it came around the Super Bowl, they needed Jalen Hurts to make his plays, and he almost did, enough to win the game. But you can still have a strong run game. Like, it's not an excuse to not have a run game. So I still think Henry has years left, and I'd be very interested in him. All right, and then we'll do one more. SCP says trade for DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I think I've discussed this before, but no, it just doesn't make much sense right now, especially because we're talking about trading Henry ourselves. Now we're going to trade for D-Hop. I mean, what are we getting veterans? We're keeping veterans. What are we doing? It wouldn't make much sense at this point for this franchise. So yeah, no trade for D-Hop as far as I am concerned. So with that said, that's going to do it for me here. Those are my thoughts on the Tennessee Titans shopping around running back Derrick Henry. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. I want to know. And until next time, this has been MJ of Sports Fan Entertainment. I'm out. See you all later.